Well, welcome. I hope you guys are all having an amazing day. I am Monica Weekly, your host. I recognize some of your names. I know you guys are good enough to follow some of these incredible mastery sessions that the good folks at Espresso Agent are always working to put new creative ideas and thoughts and inspiration. And, we learn from the best, guys like David Huffman who are joining us today. So thanks for taking advantage of that added value that, being a part of Espresso Agent offers you. I applaud you for taking the time, and we hope to give you a couple great nuggets to walk away with today. You guys know we're going to talk about handling those end of year objections, the holiday objections, we're going to wait till spring objections, all those great ones that you're going to run into. And David, our guest, has some kind of sort of a fresh approach to some of those, and I think you're going to love it. We'll talk about some other things too. We'll touch on some expireds because that's what he does really well, and we don't want him to leave without giving us his 2 cents on that. So a couple housekeeping items. As always, you guys are muted, but that does not mean we don't want to hear from you. We do want to hear from you. So please use the chat bar at the bottom or the Q&A. I will monitor them both. I will try, if I can, to ask the question in the section when we're talking about it. But sometimes David may be talking and moving forward, and we'll have to circle back around to it. For sure, at the end of it, I'll go back through all your questions and make sure they're answered. The number one question that you guys always have on every single one of these is, will this be recorded? And yes, it's being recorded. And where can you watch it? You can go to the Espresso Agent YouTube channel, and you'll be able to see it. They may not upload it right away today or right away tomorrow, but I assure you can go back. So kind of make note of what time it is when you see something you like, and then you can always forward to that section of the video if you'd like, okay? Fair enough. So I do hope you guys will interact. Please, please, please don't let just the fact that you're muted, keep you quiet. If you've got a question, chances are somebody else would love to hear the answer to that. Or if something strikes you as, gosh, that's a great idea, let us know that. It gives us some energy too. It's really hard to be staring into a camera and not feel your energy back. Right, David?
Absolutely.
All right. So David Huffman is here. He is the owner of, he's a coach. He has been a very successful agent. He is currently in the Dallas market, but you have some ties to the Arkansas area as well, right?
Correct.
And just announced that you're just picking up and moving to Fort Lauderdale because something has pulled you there, right?
The beach, man. Can't get away from the beach.
That is so smart and so awesome. I love it. I love it. So you've been a RE/MAX owner and an independent broker in Arkansas, and now you've started to do some coaching. And what I love about our conversation that we had prior to this is that you want like sort of a real practical approach to what we're doing, and a kind of a new take on some scripts and maybe a new take on some action items that you're doing, right?
Right. Correct.
I love that. That's cool. What you might not know is David just recently spent 4 months in Mexico. So we're just not going to feel real sorry for him. That sounds amazing.
It was a lot of work.
What's the
It was a lot of work, actually.
Oh,
Go
really?
ahead, sorry.
Why is that?
It sounds like it wouldn't be. Well, our coaching company is still, pretty new. And so I spent a lot of the time in this setting right here while I was down there. But then, yes, it was beautiful to be able to go and spend the evening time and do some diving, some other things that I don't have the opportunity to do here in Dallas, Texas. So it's just kind of a combination of everything. Plus, it really was time for me to get away from my natural surroundings. So I really could devote to my new company as far as exactly what it is that how we wanted to get things recorded and how we wanted to present ourselves, what marketing do we want to put in place. And so it sounds like it was a dream, and it was in that regard, but I'm telling you, it was definitely a lot of work. So
I get that. And you're a pilot and a master diver, and so you have quite a little adventuresome side to yourself, I guess.
I think it's getting worse the older that I get. That's what my girlfriend tells me. But no, I love to fly. It's a passion that I always wanted to do, but I just never really took the time to do it. And so it's something over the last couple of years that I really have enjoyed getting to know and getting better at doing it, and excited with my training. So yeah, absolutely.
Good deal. Well, I'm going to let you take it away, and I'll chime in if I see a good question or if I have a question. Other than that, why don't you take us through what you brought for us today?
Absolutely. So again, thanks for having me on the show today. And I first want to say that you guys that are, most of you all probably are with Espresso Agent already. I just want to first of all say that you're with a great company. You're going after expires and FSBOs, which a lot of your competition and a lot of your other agents in your marketplace are probably going to try to do as well. My goal today really is to bring you like a different approach to how you can sound and be different than maybe everybody else on the first day or the second day or the third day of calling those leads, and to make yourself kind of shine. So the first challenge I really want you to kind of remember is this. You're calling a FSBO or you're calling an expired. They're 100% a motivated seller, right? They have a certain DNA, but they are a motivated seller. So just remember the difference in you going on an appointment with that motivated seller or not are just the words that come out of your mouth. The more that you perfect those words that are coming out of your mouth, the more that dialogue, that sincerity is being portrayed to the person on the other line, gives them the reason why they would want to actually have you come and set an appointment. I'll talk here first. We've got 3 different things that we're going to talk about today. The first one is the 2 things you need to know about every prospect. But, first I want to kind of set that up with those particular prospects that, everybody is calling them and saying, hey, I'm a real estate agent. You're a seller. You're a motivated seller. I can help you. We should meet. Take pretty much any script. That's ultimately what it's saying. What I want to challenge you to do is start looking at your value proposition. What are you really giving them a reason why they would want to meet you? Okay. We know they're overpriced. We know they're a little frustrated because they've been trying to sell for 6 months and they failed at doing so. They're tired of having to keep their house clean, every single weekend to be able to hopefully have a showing or whatever. So just take all those as your norm. Okay. So if you were in that situation, how would you want somebody to interact with you? And not just be that person is, hey, I'm a real estate agent. I've got a license. You're a seller. We should talk. Okay. So the first thing, 2 things you need to know about every prospect. For me, it's about connecting to what's important to the consumer, okay? What's important to me is not necessarily important to them. So I want to find out what is important to them. Why are they wanting to make this move? So the first of 2 things is, what is their motivating factor? What is motivating them to want to make this move, okay? So motivation could be, kids changing schools, could be a growing family, could be empty nesters, could be whatever, changing markets because of a job. But you really want to know, what is it that's really pushing them to want to make that move? What is their motivating factor? The second thing you really want to know is, what is their time frame? We know that most likely with expireds that their time frame is usually going to be here and now. I mean, that's pretty much a given. But I like to ask the question like this. So in a perfect world, when would you guys like to have this home sold? In a perfect world, when would you guys like to be moving into your new home? Okay, there's a couple different ways you kind of attack that. But the idea is to understand their time frame and in their head, when are they really wanting to have this done? At this point, if they say that they really want to have this done by springtime, then you've got to really kind of question, what is their motivation? Are they really a motivated seller in that regard? Or are they really just kind of testing the waters? The motivating factor, though, I want to kind of go back to that on number 1, is I always teach motivation, time frame, motivation, motivation. Okay, motivation, time frame, motivation, motivation. When you think about your script, you're asking them, what is their motivating factor? So a simple dialogue would be, so Mr. and Ms. Seller, my name is David Huffman. I'm with Huffman Realty, and I saw that you guys are obviously looking in the process of trying to sell your property. Help me understand, why are you guys wanting to get your property sold? What is push? Ask them why, straight out, instead of going into, hey, I know you're a motivated seller, or I just want to have an appointment with you, or whatever that may be. Understand what's really pushing them to want to make this move, and then from that point, go into the time frame side of it. Okay, great. So in a perfect world, when would you guys like to be moving into that new home? And then find out from that point. Then when I say motivation again, is because you want to start drilling down on that motivation. Most times you don't really learn what's pushing a client to want to make that move until you ask them 2 or 3 times. Oh, I just want to get as much money as I can out of the property. Okay, great. What are we going to do with that money that we're going to get out of that property? What I'm saying is, keep drilling down until you find that hook, that thing that's really pushing them to want to make that move. And a lot of times it's not on the very first time you ask them what their motivation really is to sell the property. But once you learn that, what I'm really trying to show you guys today on this particular topic is that then you have a way to connect with a solution that you can give them and a solution to their goal. And so you can relate those back to them and make it more realistic to them that, hey, I can actually, I've helped numerous people in your exact same situation, be able to accomplish getting their property sold quickly and for top dollar. And I'd love to show you how I can do that. So my ultimate goal, obviously, is to allow you to be able to move to Florida and get closer to your nephews, because I know that's ultimately the reason why you're wanting to go through that. If you can connect with them a little bit more on a personal level, give them a real reason that relates to them, your chances are going to skyrocket as far as being able to connect. So that's just a little bit on the two things you need to know about it. And that's really for any prospect. That's not just for expireds or for FSBOs that you're actually calling. That would be for any prospect. And I can get into that a lot. I love the prospecting dialogue. With expireds, it's kind of assumed that they are a motivated seller right now because they are an expired. They've already done some actions to put their home on the market. But I also like to be able to make sure that we're still connecting with them in a different way. So that dialogue we can talk about more if we want to here towards the latter part of the call. So you want to go on to number 2, or do you have any questions?
Nope, no questions. No questions yet. Very good. You know what my aha was from listening to you talk there was, I think a lot of us hit on motivation because we've heard how important that is. But your idea of just digging that until you find it, like, and not just trying to peck at it and see if we get it and then move on. It's like peeling back.
Because their first reaction usually is not, their first reason is usually a generic reason.
Right.
There's an underlying one that we can really get to. And then once I know that, then I can always re-verify that as we go through the process. When I'm trying to tell them, hey, we need to take this offer, I want to relate that offer to their motivation. See what I'm saying? And then if they don't do something that's like in line with that, then I can say, hey, okay, just out of curiosity, last we talked, this is the reason why you're wanting to do that. Is that still the same, or has something changed? Because sometimes motivation does change, so we want to make sure we're not trying to set an appointment with somebody that necessarily their motivation has changed, So anyway, so yeah, on the prospecting side, that can be a very big beneficial, not only just to get them to want to meet with you, but also to kind of help them, guide them through the process without, going all these different directions until they actually, figure out what they need to do. So I'll save you some time and probably some money.
Yeah, I love that. Okay.
All right. So the next thing is how to overcome the I'm waiting to next year to list my house. I mean, that's going to be happening a lot from this point forward. And so the idea is a couple of things. One, you guys that are on this webinar today, you're actually in a really good position because a lot of people are going to be checking out over the next 2 months. So my first challenge with this is that, guys, this is the prime time to set yourself up for 2018, okay? If you can't convert, 10 out of 10 to list today instead of, waiting until after the first year, that's okay in this time frame. But if you can really start patting yourself to names and numbers of motivated sellers that are going to start in the first of the year or come springtime, whatever they're saying, then this is a great time to start really kind of racking in all those raised hands in the marketplace so you can really hit it hard at the first of the year. But the challenge with this is that sometimes people say that to kind of take the pressure off of them that they can be okay with selling it after the first of the year, or they can be okay with selling in the springtime. So to overcome that, I always say I want to understand their motivation and time frame, right? And their time frame they're telling me is going to be, I'm going to wait until next year. So I don't want to be the agent that just assumes that and takes them for their word. We know that if a client says they're going to buy something in 6 months, they generally are starting in that month 3. They start way faster than what we expect. So the seller is just kind of taking the pressure off themselves potentially that, hey, you know what? I'm cool. It's all good. I'm just trying to make myself feel okay. I'm just going to wait till the first of the year. So I always want to challenge that time frame, though. Give them a good reason as to why they might consider that now would be a better time than later. So a really easy one for the seller side is, hey, you know what? I can appreciate that, and I'll be happy to be able to help you guys with that come the first of the year, come springtime. But just out of curiosity, if I did have a buyer that came through, let's say like in November or December, that was interested kind of in a property, kind of like your guys, should I call you? And see what they actually come out from saying that. And if they say, well, yeah, absolutely, call me. Well, what that just told me is that they really are a prospect that I need to set an appointment with today. So I'm going to dig a little deeper with them and see what else I can accomplish with them. So if you got a couple of minutes, I'd like to kind of share with you, Mr. and Ms. Seller, that most sellers are thinking exactly like you are today. Most sellers over the next 30 days are going to be taking their property off the market. But what most sellers really don't realize is that's really a good time that you actually can make more money off of your home. So in that regards, if you do decide to go ahead and list the property, again, everything is negotiable. We're not going to have you be moving on Christmas Day or on New Year's Day. We can do some different things, and I'll share that with you here in a minute. But what if I told you could actually most likely have less showings for your property, but ultimately net more money by listing your property in the holiday season and not have to move during the holiday season? Would you be interested in that?
Sure.
See what they say. Okay, so we're just challenging a little bit. They may say no. And even at this point, though, I'm going to say don't wait till January to call them. Okay, we're calling them like next week at this point because we know they're kind of on the edge of doing something. So in that case, then if we want to go a little deeper with them and kind of share the opportunity, we can say, hey, so in that case, we have, think about the marketplace. Most buyers and sellers are thinking exactly what you're thinking, Mr. Seller, that they're going to wait until after the first year to start that process. But what about the few buyers that are actually in the marketplace during the holiday season? Wouldn't you agree that they're pretty motivated? I mean, if they're literally going out and looking at property in between holiday parties and stuff, you'd probably consider them to be pretty motivated. In that case, there's also less sellers listing their property for sale at that point. So that means it's a little bit more less of a seller's market because there's just less, or there's more of a seller's market because there's less inventory available for those buyers to be able to choose from. So if you really think about it and put both of those in perspective, that means the buyers are super motivated. There's less inventory available for them to purchase. So the chances of them coming in and actually trying to, like chew you down or actually, negotiate a less price are going to be a lot less. So the chances of you being able to find a very motivated buyer and paying closer to full price is going to be during the holiday season. So is that something that you might consider? And then they would kind of go to that point. Then the next step from that, I would kind of get a little deeper. So the idea then is they're going to be in their head, they're thinking, hey, we're going to actually be having to Christmas Day, open up our house for people. We're going to be moving on Christmas Day. So I want to paint like a real picture to let them know that everything is negotiable from that point. So guys, I know you guys don't want to be moving during the holiday, right? And so I want to let you know that we're trying to sell your home during the holiday. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be moving during the holiday. And if we are moving during the holiday, that means that other buyer is really motivated. That probably means you made a really good dollar amount off the price of that home. So it may be financially worth you to actually go through that struggle or through that issue for this particular holiday season. So you're going to kind of hit them in different directions to be able to kind of see what really sticks with them and then ask them that question. So any questions with that or anything else that you want to drill down on the seller side?
There is a question, but I like to, and I'll get to that in 1 second. I would like to, this was such a subtle sentence you said that stood out to me, because a lot of the scripts that we've used is you lay that scenario, hey, if I do have a buyer that comes up between now and then, would you be willing to sell is what usually people say. But you said, should I call you? Which is such a softer, like less threatening question getting at the same thing.
Right.
And it was really subtle, but I like it because as a seller, I might not say, yeah, sure, I'd sell. I think I'd still say no. But should you call me? Yeah, call me. Let me know.
Right. And usually at this stage, I'm giving you a couple different ways to kind of drill down with them. Remember, you have them on the phone, not to necessarily sell them on you and sell them on listing. You have them on the phone to poke a hole in their thought process, to give them a really good value proposition as to why they should at least meet with you. Now, once we're face-to-face, we can take some more time and we'll have better rapport because we will be face-to-face and see each other's body language, and we can kind of drill down and really answer those objections when we get face-to-face. So don't also get too caught up in selling the listing on the phone. The phone, you're trying to sell the appointment. As you know what, it sounds like there's several good reasons why I think we should, meet and actually discuss this a little more in detail and see whether or not this would be something you should consider or not. Okay. And the good news is, one is I get to meet you. I get to see the house. And if I do happen to have that buyer of the holiday season, I'll be able to absolutely be able to tell them about your property because I've been in there and I've seen it. On the flip side of it, you guys may decide that really there is a financial gain and a reason why you guys should keep your property on the market during the holiday season. So technically it's going to be a win-win for you, Mr. and Ms. Seller. What's a good time for you and I to meet?
Perfect.
I always try to give them a win-win situation.
Yeah, that's great. So we've got a question. What's your number one response when an expired says, you're the 30th agent that called me today?
I love that one. So My opening line is, so am I the 30th or the 35th agent who's called you today? If they say, well, you're the 20th, I'm like, okay, I'll call you back in 5 minutes. No, I'm just kidding. You got to take that objection off the table.
Right.
Because if not, you get into that automated response that they're going to give agents all the time of, hello, yes, I'm an agent. Yes, I'm expired. No, I'm not interested. Thanks, bye. Yeah, it's just the same thing for them, or they're just not answering at all. So take that objection of what they're going to say just off the table at the very beginning, and see, just like you, it made you smile.
Yeah, totally. And you took control of the situation instead of, hey, this is David. Yeah, you're the 30th agent. Like, that's them in control of the conversation. You controlled it by saying, am I? Asking the first question. I love it.
Yeah, take it off the table, because that's where it's going to go. And say, hey, listen, I know you're getting beat up today. I know that agents are calling you out of the woodworks, but what is the reason you guys are wanting to sell this? Straight into motivation.
Yeah.
Straight into motivation. We're not talking about the house. We're not talking about the listing. We're not talking about they're looking for an agent, price point. We're not talking about anything other than what's important to them. Why are you doing this? And that kind of, to me, helps me build rapport with somebody that I don't know, because they don't necessarily probably know me on a first name basis. So I've got to build that rapport with them to be able to kind of get them to open up with me as well.
Love it. Love it. What about, okay, I might list my house during the holidays, but look, I've got company in over Thanksgiving, and I've got company over, 3 days before Christmas. I'm not showing the house.
What if I could tell you that I want you to do that? That's awesome. That actually will help us make more money off the house. Because what we can do during the winter months, or during the holiday season, is it gives buyers a really good reason why we might want to group all of the potential buyers from that particular week onto a certain day and a certain time. And so if you guys would be willing to kind of consider in your head that on Saturdays from like 11 to 12, my goal would be to have at least one, if not multiple people come to that property around that same time, and kind of give a little bit of a buyer frenzy because they're seeing the other person, what are they thinking or whatever, that really can be in your best interest. So honestly, by you saying that could actually make you extra money. I'd love to discuss that a little bit more at our appointment.
Great idea. I love that. You black out all the showings, you gather who wants it, and then you say, look, we're going to open it up on Saturday for a couple hours for showings only. Yeah.
Yep. And that does help.
Yeah. Good. Very cool. Awesome.
All right. So the third part here, building your seller pipeline through the holidays. I mean, that's kind of a given a little bit, but let's say, you've understood their motivation. You've understood their time frame. At this point, their time frame is next year, what have you. You took a couple of sentences to really kind of challenge that thought process to see if they would at least be open to doing something this year. And if it all else says, hey, no, it's not an option, I'm not open to that, one, call them in another couple of weeks and try again, honestly, because they're just saying that maybe because you got them on day one and you are the 30th agent that has talked to them or tried to talk to them that day. And so they're a little frustrated. So be okay with that. So definitely call them back and try again. But the second thing is that is your pipeline. And so I know probably Monica and everybody else, talks about putting things on a whiteboard and getting visual things, but start making that list and checking it twice. That's your list for your 2018 sellers coming out strong. That's where right now all the agents that are in our business are going to start not calling these expireds and FSBOs. So it gives you an opportunity to be able to connect, because they're going to say like, hey, everybody that I'm going to call right now, oh my gosh, it's, day after Thanksgiving, they're all telling me they're just going to wait till next year. Why should I even call? Use that to your advantage. Create that list. Get that list of motivated sellers. Make two of them, one for right after the first year and one towards, more the springtime most likely. And then going through the holidays is where we like to teach in our prospecting, is where we call them back at least once or maybe twice during the holidays to re-verify that motivation and time frame. So guys, last time we talked, you told me that you are looking to go ahead and get the property sold because you want to get closer to your sister in Florida, and you'd like to kind of start that process here after the first year. Is that still the same, or has something changed? So if that's the case, and then find out if there's any value that you can bring to the situation at that time, is there anything that you need from me at this time that you want to review throughout the holidays and stuff? Just want to let you know that I'm still here for you. If you have any questions, of course, call me, but I just want to stay in touch and let you know that I really am motivated to earn your business. And that brings me to another question. What would I have to do after the first of the year to have the opportunity to earn your business? What would I have to do? In other words, is there any other people in play? Is there nephew that got their license 2 days ago? So that's the objection you have to overcome, But you can kind of paint a picture that you really are kind of asking for the business, even though you're over the phone and you haven't gotten to an appointment yet, but you can ask them specifically, what is it that I can do in an effort to have the opportunity to earn your business when you guys are ready here after the first of the year.
Perfect.
Paint a good picture.
Do you like paper or do you like electronic tracking for that?
For the leads? Oh, I mean, not electronic because you have to log in. I'm an old school in that regards for myself. Mainly for most of my students is going to be visual on whiteboards and stuff like that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But those, you can do it, in that regard. You could do it on paper if you had a binder that you just keep inside your desk area. That's going to be pretty safe for that specific one. But, we teach a method as far as, how we analyze our different our prospects and stuff. And then from that point, though, this might be a little bit of a different list, which is okay. But ultimately, I still want to have, laser attention on those guys. And what can I do in the meantime? I want them in front of me because I can say, hey, actually, I just remember Steve, that's right. And I got this buyer over here. I don't know, maybe this could work out, and I can make a phone call. If anything, gives me another reason to touch that person that's on the board because it's in my face. It gives me a justification to be able to reach out and ask them questions about the property or something.
That's awesome. Can we, Nicole wants to know what your sort of opening line or two are for expired when they answer the phone. Can we do a role play? And
Let's do it.
I won't be easy on you. I'll be like salty like most of them.
Bring it. Hey, yeah. Monica. So I'll say, hey, this is David Huffman with Huffman Realty. Hey, just out of curiosity, man, I know your phone's getting blown up today.
Yeah, David, it is.
Are you the 30th or 35th person that's actually called you today?
Yeah. You're like the 35th. It's really annoying. I'm trying to get work done.
Well, I'm really glad that I was actually able to get you on the phone today. Hey, just out of curiosity, what is the reason you guys are wanting to sell your property?
David, look, we're not going to list it right now. I cannot do this. We're going to take a break. This.
I understand. I'm sure it's been very emotional and it's been on the market for quite some time and hadn't even sold. But just out of curiosity, if I had a buyer willing to pay the price that you wanted, would you consider it?
Well, yeah, but where were you with that buyer when it was on the market for 360 days?
Hey, it's a great point. I've been really busy actually working for my other sellers that my job has hired me to be able to sell their property. So just out of curiosity, what's the reason you guys are wanting to sell this property?
Well, we're moving to Florida.
Oh, great. Well, here we go. In a perfect world, when would you guys like to have this property sold just so you can move to Florida?
Well, it would have been 6 months ago.
So you would probably consider yourself a very motivated seller, but very frustrated. Is that a fair statement?
That's fair.
So I tell you, I've helped numerous people in your exact same situation accomplish getting their property sold quickly and for top dollar. And honestly, I know you're frustrated. You've got all your phone's blowing up today. You got a lot of things going on with work and life and everything. But ultimately, you are a seller, and ultimately, you do want to get your property sold. I'd love to be able to schedule a time to be able to show you how I've helped numerous people in your exact same situation be able to accomplish getting your property sold quickly and for top dollar. When would be a good day and time for us to be able to do that?
Look, if we go back on the market, we're just going to do for sale by owner so that we can reduce the price. We're tight on price. We're just going to take that 3% out that we would save, and we're just going to go it alone.
So help me understand how that's in your best interest. If you had offered to pay that kind of money to a professional, but now we're going to take that professional out of it and most likely probably end up in the same result. Would that be a fair statement?
No, I just think if we can take out the, $18,000 that we were going to pay somebody to list it, we can put it down in a price range that will attract a buyer.
So it sounds like the dollar amount of the check that you want to receive at closing is really important to you. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
I'd love to be able to show you how, and you're in the exact same situation as a lot of my past sellers before, especially ones that have been expired. I'd love to be able to show you how I can still help you be able to achieve getting that property sold for top dollar, all while protecting that net amount or that check that you're going to receive at closing. If I was able to be able to accomplish that for you, would it be worth about 20 or 25 minutes of your time to be able to learn how I would be able to do that?
I don't see what you can do without lowering the price that's going to be any different than what we did.
And that's funny. Most sellers think exactly the same way because the difference is that we do have a lot of different ways. And I don't want to sit here on the phone today and try to explain all that to you, but I would love to be able to show you. The idea is that, yes, we're not an agent that's just going to come in, put on the market again, put you in the same position that you've been in already. We actually have helped a lot of people, like I said before, in your exact same situation, be able to do this. And I'm asking for 20 to 25 minutes to be able to show you a solution that can help you be able to make that move on down into Florida.
Well, tell me just one thing that you think you do any better or different than anybody else, because I just think you guys are all the damn same.
So how many other agents have you talked to today that you've had this much length in conversation?
None.
That's one of the first things. Okay. So that's one of the first things, you know? So there's a lot of little things. I can't say there's any one thing that I'm going to do that's like the aha compared to every other agent out there in the marketplace. Honestly, it's a lot of little things. And some of it is just this kind of dialogue, perfecting what I say out of my voice with the other agents, the showing agents, that I come up with a win-win solution for their particular client that maybe they didn't think of on their own. Maybe they're a new agent. You never know. There's so many variables in this business. But you take all of that, all of my 15 years experience, and you put all that together, you get dialogue and conversation, and ultimately you get your property sold. So again, honestly, it would be a win-win for us both. And let me explain that really quick. One is I get to see the property. You're obviously a motivated seller. If you decide not to hire me, that's okay. But at the same time, I would get to see the property. If I'll know the property a little bit better. I'd be happy to be able to share that with any motivated buyers that I run across from this point forward. But the second thing is you could find a solution that's going to help you be able to get to Florida more quickly and put more money in your pocket. Mm-hmm. So what would be a good day for us to be able to meet and discuss?
Well, why don't you call me in a couple weeks?
Okay. So at this point, again, you're not really at this point ready to move on, or what's the difference in today than in a couple of weeks?
I just don't know. I'm just exhausted.
I can understand. I tell you what, here's what I would forecast. Today is Thursday. I understand your phone's getting blown off. So at this point, you probably just want to shut off the ringer and enjoy yourself at work. I've already, and then let's say on Saturday, you and I get together, let's discuss. It can be casual. It's not going to be something formal. Come in your little flip-flops or whatever you want. It's fine. At the same time, though, my job and my goal is to show you really how I can help you achieve that goal. And I know you're frustrated. And, and that's pretty common with somebody like yourself that have been trying to work so hard to get your property sold. Ultimately, you thought you hired the solution, but unfortunately, that solution didn't work for you. But I am telling you that you're not alone. It's happened before. I've helped a lot of people like you, and I'd love to be able to get you past this hump as quickly as possible. And I don't think delaying a couple of weeks is going to necessarily, that will necessarily delay the closing a couple of weeks too. And so if you could get something done and accomplished 2 weeks faster, you can probably see why this will get you past this point. That you're feeling a lot quicker. So what do you say? Saturday at 11 o'clock would be a good time for you and I to discuss.
Yeah, you're not getting off the phone, David, until I set that appointment, are you?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
All right.
Well, they haven't told me to shut up yet, right? But again, it's what I'm doing is kind of scripted for how we teach this little methodology that I have memorized. Mm-hmm. But again, you do have to give reasons, and I will always give at least 2, sometimes maybe 3, but I'll overcome their objection for the appointment at least twice before I actually kind of move on and say, hey, you know what? I can appreciate that. I tell you what, relax. Probably want to turn your ringer off. I'll call you in a couple of days, and I'll see where you're at that point and see if you're ready to be able to get the solution to getting your property sold quickly and for top dollar in place.
Perfect.
So what I'm selling is the key. The end result that they want. And I say it a lot. You heard me say probably 4 or 5 times, quickly and for top dollar. I want to get that to them as much as possible as well. So
that makes sense. And so you said you tried 2 or 3 times because the question is, if you drill down, the seller insists that they wait until January 1st, do you push for an appointment here and now? Like if she's for sure not going to even consider listing it until the new year, you're still trying to get the appointment, right? Because you want to get in relationship with them. Is that right?
No.
Okay.
No, because our time frame is not within the next 30 days wanting to list. That's when I'm going to the challenge portion of it. I want to challenge that thought process. So the first step of that challenge is to kind of break them down just a little bit. Okay. And that for me is like, I can appreciate that. I'll be happy to try to earn your business at that time. But if I do happen to run across a buyer in November, maybe December, that has, that's looking for something similar to what you guys have to offer, should I call you?
Okay.
See, and then from that point, then I'll say, at least I got them from that. And then I'll go to the next step, and then I'll go to the next step. And then I'll start maybe working on an appointment. But the truth is when you are challenging, this is something to kind of consider, because I never like giving up on a prospect. But they've told you they don't want to do something until next year. You've challenged it. They've opened the door a little bit for you. You've opened the door that, yeah, they may be kind of interested in doing that. People don't change their mind just like that. They don't go from a no to a yes. So that sometimes takes a little time to kind of seep in, right? So be okay with that. You planted a seed, you challenge the thought process, but follow up with them again and go at it again. So sometimes you just got to get them and leaving them with a train of thought to think like, hey, that should be something you should consider. I know you're not ready to make that decision today, but if it's okay with you, I'll follow up in a couple of days and maybe give you, another way that you would want to meet with me.
And the masterful thing you did there was just that baby step down from no, I'm not, to yes, I am, is a big leap, like you said. And your baby step is, all right, if I found somebody that would maybe be a fit for your house, should I call you? Getting that permission.
Yep. And the other thing I want to kind of point out is you try to rush me off the phone. So I call it your wham bam statement. You got to have something that you got to have a go-to, something you're going to go to. And so what I said was, so you're saying that if I had a buyer willing to pay the price that you wanted, that you wouldn't consider it? Okay. Yeah. So that's like my 1-2. Like, are you saying that? Is that what you're telling me? Okay. If they hang up on me, then okay, I'll try again tomorrow. I'll try later on that day. But at that point, though, I've got to have a go-to. And so always be ready and prepared for that. Just what are you going to put out there from that point? And in that case, their response generally is, oh, are you saying you have a buyer? Right? So you need to have that, how to overcome that. Yeah, very possibly. So I've been very busy, though, selling the houses that my sellers have hired me to do. But just out of curiosity, see, I didn't stop. I kept on going. I went straight into motivation right after that. I didn't give you a chance to kind of like talk in between there. It's kind of like a bridge sentence and then going right back into your next question. So.
Yeah, nice. Very good. Okay. Curious, do you call withdrawn listings as well? We have expired and withdrawns in Georgia. If so, same script?
Well, look, so think about it. Why would a person be a withdrawn? There's one reason why they'd be a withdrawn. Their motivation changed. That's it. Okay. So yes, I would call to test that motivation. That's why we teach motivation and time frame. So you're going to call out withdrawn and say, hey, I saw that you were trying to sell your property here earlier this year. Are you guys still interested in getting your property sold quickly and for top dollar? I mean, why not? I mean, why would I not at least say, no, man, we decided to do this or whatever. I'd go into a motivation question. So why are you guys considering, or why were you considering selling your property? Has that changed? I'm trying to paint that picture and what's pushing them. What agents really forget about is what is the desire for somebody to want to do an action. Okay. And that's their motivation. So agents are pretty smart of learning hey, if my family is growing and we're having triplets, they're probably going to be buying they're moving, right? They're doing something. If they say that I'm just trying to find out what the property is worth and I just want to get as much money out of the property, I want to ask a couple more questions to find out what they're going to do with that money. But ultimately, they may be a tire kicker. Mm-hmm. But you and your gut as professionals, we really can kind of start painting that picture whether or not they really do need an appointment or not, so.
Okay, cool. And we're assuming with those withdrawns that they're out of contract?
I mean, yeah. I mean, they're withdrawn. I mean, you could do again, I don't like to give prospects much time until I learn, that they need my services or not. So yes, you could go through, you definitely want to scrub it on the do not call, of course. But if you want to scrub those things again and look it up on the MLS and stuff. Another thing I see agents do sometimes, especially with expireds, is starting to look up and see kind of how it's priced. They're just trying to give themselves a reason why not to call.
Yep.
News alert: they're a seller. They're overpriced. That's it.
Right.
I mean, oh, it's listed great. Oh, yeah, it was below market value. No, when does that ever happen? Never, right? So just know that's the norm. That expect them to be that way, but then ultimately, getting in front of them will help them build rapport, and then you can kind of learn how to get them to price it correctly by giving them good dialogue.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Ken mentions withdrawn may still be under contract. In Cincinnati, withdrawn does not necessarily mean they're out of contract. In fact, usually they're still in contract. So obviously you need to be careful not crossing a sign there.
And when you're asking them those questions, they generally will say, well, my house is listed. Oh, well, my apologies. I didn't have that information. Hey, absolutely. I'll keep you guys in mind with any of my buyers. Have a great day. Yeah, you're going to exit out of that and not push. Yeah, never, you want to protect the sign, of course.
Yeah, you got it. Good question here. Actually, we've never talked about this. Nicole, good question. How do you win Zillow Make Me Moves? Do you ever call those guys?
I mean, they're FSBOs.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do we know about FSBOs? NAR statistics says that a FSBO is going to probably not start the process for at least 21 days, right? FSBO is a very motivated seller. They are probably landlocked a little bit, most likely with their mortgage. They are entrepreneurs in some way, form, or fashion because they're willing to go. They're not lazy. They're willing to go out there and get a sign in the yard and sign up with Zillow Make Me Move and do all these things on their own and upload pictures and write a property description. So there, you have to look and make sure you always picture their DNA. Like, who is it that I'm really kind of talking to, and what is important to them? And so, kind of going to the physical side of things is really kind of understanding that where are they at in that process. If they're a new FSBO, I can't even convert them probably into a listing appointment today. Now, I can convert them into a week listing appointment. Hey, let me come out there and tell you how much your house is worth for free, and undersell my value. But I don't teach that. The idea is that they're just not quite ready for me. So I want to add value. I want to help them. Have you done this? Have you done this? Have you done that? I'll call you back in a couple more weeks and see where you're at, and I'll give you some more advice. But only thing that I'm asking in return is that when and if you ever come to the decision that you do need professional help, not personally, but with your house, that I would love to be able to at least have the opportunity to earn your business. Can we agree on that?
That's great. The one thing I know about FSBOs that it maybe isn't put into words so much, but we all kind of know this. The agent that wins that business is the agent that's there at the right time. Meaning when they, like, that follow-up piece is so important, because there's going to be a day when they're like, screw this, I'm listing with an agent, and it's literally the next person that walks in the door can get that.
100%. I agree with you completely. That's why with the FSBO, it's the follow-up, and kind of keeping in mind that I'm planting a seed today, I'm planting a seed today, I'm planting a seed today. And I may have to do that for a month or two, honestly, but ultimately they're going to make a decision that they're going to either not sell their property, or they can't afford to sell their property with the commissions because of the price point and the payoff amount, or they're going to hire an agent. And you're right. You have to be there. That's why the consistency with FSBOs. Now, expired is a little different. They're instantaneous. They're here and now. So I like to hear some people say, well, I'm calling FSBOs, I feel comfortable with them. And I'm like, yeah, but you can be setting listing appointments today with a very similar dialogue with a motivated seller. You may have some objections to overcome, right? They may be using the same agent. They may be waiting a couple of weeks, the same normal kind of objections they're going to give you. But ultimately, expireds are going to have a lot more success a lot quicker than a FSBO. But FSBO do take time, but have patience with them. Just know that going through that.
Great. What's the worst any expired has ever yelled at you or made you feel like an idiot that we're so afraid of feeling like? Can you remember?
To be honest, I probably can't. I mean, when I started calling expireds like a long time ago, it was more of I was scared because I envisioned the person on the other line. I envisioned my reputation. I envisioned them being able to like talk bad about me if I didn't do the right thing or say the right thing. And then eventually they just became another person on the other line. Like I would just wait for them for that objection. Yep, come on, bring it on. I understand. Yeah, yep. And then I got it. Then I just go for it, right? And so I almost like I keep myself quiet because I already know what they're going to say. And you don't want to talk over them. But I think I've been so like disheartened, I guess, at this point by them. Like it's just another person to talk to. I would challenge you though in that thought process. If they do that, just remember that's passion. That's just because they're frustrated. We said that, and that's part of their DNA. They're frustrated. FSBOs aren't frustrated. They're motivated because they're going to sell their house on their own because they've done this and this and this all on themselves, and they're going to make all this money, and then they get worn out. But the DNA of an actual person that's in an expired, I mean, they're pissed off. I mean, they're upset. I mean, they have every reason to be as well. So just know that means that they really are taking this serious, most likely, even though it's coming out as being rude against you. It's just because they're just frustrated with the entire situation. But come up with a good solution. Help them achieve that. And it may ultimately not be that day. And it may be the next day. Hey, you know what, George? I talked to you yesterday, and I got to tell you, I was thinking about you all last night. I know you like yelled at me and stuff. I just want to tell you thank you. I'm like, what? And then, but see, you open that, you take that objection off the table, and then it opens up dialogue really from that point forward.
Yeah, I haven't had somebody yell at me in a long time. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, you kind of snapped me into realism here. I want to help you out even more,
Exactly. Now I know you're passionate about getting your house sold. Yeah. All right, let's see what we get here. What if they say that I won't entertain and meet you unless you have a bona fide and valid buyer you're bringing in?
Well, I mean, yeah. So a couple different angles. It depends on the motivation and rapport, what have you. So another part of our dialogue that we teach, especially for setting any appointment, and once you understand that they are somebody that you need an appointment with, somebody looking to buy or sell the next 30 days, use their objections as even more of a reason as to why you should meet. Okay? So in other words, you can't negotiate with somebody that you don't have rapport built with. Okay. So in expired, you're not trying to sell them on you as the right agent for them. You're trying to sell them and give them a good value proposition as to why we should at least meet. Okay. So any objection you don't answer, I don't teach, answering those objections, because here's what happens. You get into a debate over the phone, and then you're going to say something, and they're technically, in my opinion, they're out negotiating you at that point. They're putting you against the wall, right? And they're going to come at you at different angles. And if you start answering and reacting to that, then you're going to say something like, oh, yep, you're just like every other agent. They're going to think that in their head, and you're never going to be able to get that appointment with them. What I challenge you to do is use that objection as even more of a reason why we should meet. You know what? I'm glad that you brought up the marketing plan. I'm super excited to be able to show you exactly what it is that we do. We have actually a checklist, about 212 things that we actually do to be able to get our clients' properties sold. I'd love to be able to share that. Would you give time for us to be able to discuss that, for me to show you that? Then they come up with another objection. You can do this kind of the same thing, but you're using that to build that value proposition. You're asking some really good questions. Thank you for doing that. But in that case, with the buyer side of things, that's a very good point. I may have a buyer. Again, it kind of goes back to my job is to sell my listings. And so I do try to get my buyers into my sellers. And I'd love to be able to see maybe that this property would work out with one of our buyers. Would it be a good time for me to come out and see it?
Well, and can you just say at that point, I don't know at this point because I have to see your house. I may.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
You said a quote, and I hope everybody writes this down because this was great. Use their objections for even more of a reason to meet. I mean, that was your exact, and then you went into explaining it, but that's such a good mindset shift on objections. Instead of thinking they're like these things that you got to be like, no, you want to hear their objections because that's where you hook them. Right. That's
so
great.
we call it the $10,000 value proposition. It's kind of what we relate to it as an analogy. And by that, I mean, hey, Monica, I'm David Huffman. Yes, Coach David Huffman is in your particular market. I'm down the street at Starbucks. I know there's a tornado in your area. I know the sirens are going off, but I'd love to meet you. Come on down. You're going to be like, yo, man, I'm out. Thanks. I know, I appreciate it, but I'm out. Okay. So the flip side, I say the same thing, Monica. Hey, Coach David Huffman, I'm in your market. I know the tornado sirens are going off. I think there's a tornado like literally down the street there, but I'm going to pay you $10,000 cash if you come meet me at Starbucks. Yeah, okay. So what I'm saying is when your value proposition is that you're really looking for these objections and different things that you can bulk it all up together and give them one powerful sentence to say, hey, this is what all we can accomplish. This is the value opposition that I'm trying to give you to be able to get you to want to meet with me. So you've got to give them a $10,000 reason. It's kind of like when agents list or leave voicemails. Hey, it's David Huffman, Huffman Realty. Just calling you. I saw that your house is no longer on the market. I'd love to be able to show you how I can sell your house, and you can call me back at this number. That's generic. That's basically what every agent is out there doing. So maybe take some stabs at some value propositions that, given the type of lead source that it is, that you may be able to give them a reason why they would want to actually call you back, because you're being a little different. You got a little different swagger in your voicemail because you may not know too much about the prospect, but you're giving them a good reason as to why that may hit home for them.
Love that. What about, I heard somebody use this once. I liked it. They were leaving messages, which, there are a lot of philosophies on that, but all he said was, hey, it's Monica Weekly. I'm a local realtor. I see that your house is, no longer on the market or available in MLS. I think I know why it didn't sell. If you could call me back, that would be great. I was like, oh, I like that.
Yeah. But again, that's a value proposition. Oh, that's something, maybe that, she may be onto something, let's call her back, absolutely. But that's being different and having that different swagger than every other agent on market. So that's why I say embrace the other 30 people that are calling, but just be different when you actually get them on the phone, or be different when you're leaving them that voicemail to give them ultimately a reason why they would want to call you back.
You got it. So, okay, let's do this. Can they get these scripts somewhere? I know you're coaching, but do you have a source of these scripts, or how do people learn these?
So it's funny. I've been sold scripts since like 2004 when I hired my first coach. I teach more of a Cliff Note version than true scripts of like, here's what to read and say as you go through it. So when I said earlier, motivation, time frame, motivation, yes, to answer your question, we have those kind of laid down. We have our 1-2 punch just in case it's there. So you're saying that, if I had a buyer willing to pay the price that you want, so you have your 1-2 punch there. And then we have a 3-step way to overcome objection from that point. And then, of course, your value proposition, we teach on how to sum all that together to give them a really good reason why they want to meet. And you kind of do that 2 times, maybe 3 times, and then hopefully you have the appointment. And if not, then you try again later that day or tomorrow, whatever. And then we have kind of a follow-up deal from that point. So to answer your question, it's not a true script like you're used to it, but it is a framework of sorts for the agent to be able to follow. It's a lot easier for agents, including myself, to kind of do that because I know then kind of what I'm going and what the next step is at every stage of the conversation.
Mm-hmm. Do you teach a course on scripts?
Yeah. I mean, well, with our students, we do. I mean, I don't teach right now. We just have it all packaged in together. We have a learning management system that literally has all this dialogue broken down for about 50 different lead generators in the marketplace. And I give basically what, when in your career you should be interested in that particular lead generator, and then what that lead generator can do for you and to kind of paint the picture of that lead generator. And then, of course, what the minimum commitment needs to be doing on a daily, weekly, or quarterly basis for that lead generator in order to give it a fair share to be successful, to get business out of it or what have you. And so we break that down. And then we have more of a generic kind of prospecting side as well that we teach the script on, the dialogue on.
Okay, perfect. And here in a minute, we'll get to how people can reach out to you. Let me make sure I haven't missed any questions. What's your very first call FSBO script?
For a FSBO? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So with the FSBO, I'm very persistent with this. I want to learn their motivation and time frame. I do. I want to learn, hey, I know you're trying to sell a property, but in a perfect world, when would you like to have this property sold? And it may be obvious that they want it sold now because it has it listed, but I want to get it out of them and get them to say that. My first dialogue with the FSBO really is just kind of build rapport, okay? And, I do like to ask this particular question. So in case, or if you are unsuccessful yourself of getting your property sold, have you set a date yet as to when you will start that process of interviewing agents? And most are going to say no, right? Some every once in a while say yes. Then you can kind of make that note and to kind of still do some consistent follow-up until then, but what have you. I always like to end the conversation with FSBOs though by giving value, by saying, hey, listen, I just want to be honest with you that there's a lot of people, nobody's going to come to your house, unfortunately, and call a FSBO to look at the property and tell you that they don't like the property, okay? Everybody's going to act like they're running to the bank to get pre-approved in order to buy your property. So just keep that in mind, that I don't want you to waste a lot of time thinking these people are out doing these things when ultimately they probably really aren't. They're just not going to be disrespectful to you, to your face, to tell you that this property is not right for them. So kind of keep that in mind. And second of all, use me as a resource. I'd love to be able to share. I'm happy to tell you anything. I'm an open book, okay? Only thing that I ask for in return is if and when you ever do come to that decision that you at least want to interview some agents, I would like to be a part of that group.
That's awesome. Love that script. Cool. So it's all about rapport in the beginning and just connecting. And maybe asking questions about something you see in a picture, a clarifying question about their house, information, or...
It could. I don't even look at their stuff because I'm just calling through the caller. I don't want to do a lot of research on people. I mean, we only have so much time, but I just, it's kind of like looking at a, expired and seeing, hey, I think I found what didn't sell or something. They haven't asked you to do that. They haven't empowered you to give you to want to spend that kind of time with them yet. So I kind of go through it generically instead of really trying to pinpoint stuff. But I do like that script, that voicemail. Hey, I think I know, or I think I found out why. Call me.
Where your house didn't sell. Give me a call.
Yeah, that's a good one.
All right. No, cool. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, Nicole, yes, this webinar is recorded, and the folks at Espresso Agent will put it on their YouTube channel. I don't know if it'll be put up today or tomorrow, but it will be put up soon. So yes, you'll be able to watch this, play this back, use David's words, because I think you've given us some incredible stuff today, David. Thank you so much. Now, how can people connect with you if they'd like to connect with you and find out more about your coaching, like your real perts?
Yeah, it's a weird word, right? So it's real perts, REALPERTS, but it's like real estate experts all mashed up into one little word there. So it's kind of like, now that you're a realtor, let's work to get you to be a real perch, that next level, that next stage in training. Realperch.com is the website that you can go to and check some stuff out. I do have a show that's on, it's called Real Talk Real Estate. You can get it on iTunes and Stitcher and Tune FM and all that kind of stuff. You can kind of tune in there. We have Facebook page, of course, a little bit in there. We have Instagram. We have all that kind of stuff. My girlfriend does all my Instagram pictures and stuff or whatever. But connect, reach out. If you got a question, like I love talking real estate. So reach out, let me know. If you're struggling with something, need some help, I'm happy to help in any way that I can. And I'm pretty much an open book in that regard. I don't like holding like trade secrets back or anything. So just open up. If I can be of any service, you can reach out to us at 800-916-7325 directly. And we've got coaching programs no matter your budget. So
cool. Awesome. Well, everyone's saying thank you and great stuff. And I agree. This has been great. Thank you, David, for your wisdom and you're willing to share. Lots of good little nuggets in there for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate your time. And thank you for taking your time all the time, it sounds like, and actually hosting this webinar for Espresso. So Espresso, pat on the back there for Monica as well for taking her time out of her busy schedule to be able to host these kind of events as well. So this is good. Again, guys, you guys are really with a great company. I mean, Espresso is awesome. I mean, I don't do this right here for just any company that's out there. There's only two, and this one, and I won't say the other one, but it's the big brother. And that's it. That's the only, and I really do believe in their product. I believe in the way that they present their product. And the quality of their product compared to any other option that you have out there, which there are quite a few. So you're in a good spot. And if I could be of any assistance, reach out, let me know. I'm happy to help.
No, that means a lot. Good testimonial. All right, guys. I hope you guys have an amazing week. It's almost the end. And I hope you guys do something fun this weekend. All right. See you, David.
All right. Cheers. We'll see you. Bye.